Landlord threatened to blacklist all military families from rentals and learned why that was a huge mistake. I'm active duty Army stationed at Fort Campbell, living off base in a decent apartment complex about 15 minutes from the gate. Most of the tenants are military because it's affordable, and the location works for our schedules. When the complex got bought by a new management company last spring, everyone had to sign new lease agreements. I'd heard through the grapevine that this company specifically bought properties near military bases and had a reputation for squeezing service members who were too busy or stressed to fight back over fees and rent increases. When I got my new lease, I read through every single page carefully, something my first sergeant drilled into us about contracts. Read everything twice, especially if someone wants you to sign fast. I noticed they'd forgotten to include the pet deposit and monthly pet fee for my German Shepherd. Every other tenant with pets had to pay $300 upfront plus $50 monthly, but mine was completely blank in that section. I signed it immediately, making sure to initial every page so they couldn't claim later it was incomplete or a draft. 2 weeks later, they slipped a notice under my door saying I owed the pet fees and needed to pay within 5 days or face eviction proceedings. I walked into the leasing office with my signed lease and politely pointed out that there were no pet fees listed in my agreement. The property manager, this woman who'd been rude to military tenants since day one, got visibly annoyed and said they'd just fix it when my lease renewed next year. That's when I decided to read through my lease one more time, line by line. I found something incredible. They'd accidentally set my lease term for 5 years instead of 1 year, and there was no early termination clause for the landlord, only for tenants. I took it to my neighbor who's a JAG lawyer, and he confirmed what I suspected. They were legally bound to honor these terms until 2028. Even better, our state has rent control laws that limit increases to 3% annually on long-term leases. Meanwhile, everyone else in the complex saw their rent jump 22% this past year. The management company tried everything. First, they offered me $500 to sign a corrected lease. When I said no, they bumped it to $2,000. I'd already calculated that over 5 years I was saving about $18,000 between the pet fees and avoided rent hikes, so I told them thanks, but no thanks. They started getting more aggressive, sending certified letters and having different staff members call me multiple times per week, asking when I'd be available to discuss my lease situation. Last month, their corporate lawyer called me directly. When I told him I was documenting all their contact as potential harassment and considering small claims court, he backed off immediately. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. Yesterday, the actual owner of the management company showed up at my apartment unannounced. This guy in an expensive suit standing in my doorway with 2 other people behind him, trying to intimidate me. He asked if we could have a man-to-man conversation about my lease situation. I stepped outside and listened to his offer. $5,000 cash to sign a corrected 1-year lease at current market rates. When I said no again, his whole demeanor changed. Listen, soldier boy, we own properties around 4 different Army bases. You think you're being smart here, but we'll make sure no military family can rent from any of our complexes again if you don't sign this corrected lease. You people come and go anyway, and we'll spread the word to every property management company in town. Your buddies will thank you real nice when they can't find anywhere to live because of your little stunt. I stared at him for a few seconds, making sure I'd heard him correctly. Then I pulled out my phone and showed him that I'd been recording our entire conversation. Did you just threaten to discriminate against military families in housing? Because that's a federal crime under the Service Members Civil Relief Act, and you just confessed to it on tape. His face went white. I'm also going to forward this recording to the base legal office, the Better Business Bureau, and probably the local news station. But hey, thanks for making this way easier than small claims court. The guy stammered something about misunderstanding and left with his people practically running back to their car. 20 minutes later, the corporate lawyer called me back. They're not just dropping all contact about the lease. They're offering me $10,000 to delete the recording and sign a non-disclosure agreement. I told him I'd consider it, but first I'm sending copies to everyone I mentioned, plus the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division. I never realized how satisfying it would be to watch someone realize they just handed me everything I needed to destroy them legally. My German Shepherd and I are going to enjoy our cheap rent for the next 3 years while watching this company get investigated for federal housing discrimination.